What's up, booktube? Welcome back. My name is Laura if you're new here, and today I'm going over some books that I would really like to get to before the end of the year. So I had like two main goals for this year in terms of reading, and that was to read more sequels and more books that were actually released this year, because I have this horrible habit of like adding books to my TBR before they're released and then like losing interest by the time they come out and then just never reading them. So I wanted to focus on reading new releases, which I did do for the most part, and I did also get to a bunch of sequels, so that's also really good. So for the most part I have been successful, but there are still a whole lot of books that I desperately want to get to and just can't make time for. I just keep reading other things, or like, you know, things come up or whatever the case may be, but for whatever reason I just haven't gotten to them yet. So these are at least some of the books that I am like the most hyped for, that I would really like to get to. Some of them are like winter themed, or like things that I think would be good for the coming season, and others are ones that were released this year that were my like most hyped books for the year, and I still haven't gotten to them. A few of these you will definitely recognize if you've been watching my videos from like multiple past TBRs, that I just still have not read them, but it's fine, we're doing great. So without further ado, here are some books that I would love to read before the end of 2020. Starting with The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I know I'm like the last person on earth who have not read this book, but what can you do, you know? The plot of this book, I don't really know. I'm assuming it takes place around a circus, but people seem to be kind of iffy on the plot. I think it's just Erin Morgenstern's writing style that people just don't know how to describe her books at all. But that's fine with me. I like kind of ambiguous, flowery writing. I'm so hyped for it. But mainly I want to read this one because I want to read The Start of the Sea, which I'm more excited for. But I wanted to read her debut book first before reading her next one to see how her writing has changed. So I really want to get to this one so that I can get to the other one pretty much. Next up is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. This is another one that I am like the last person in the entire world to have not read, but what can you do? This one takes place in a town surrounded by a really dark, evil forest, and there is a wizard who lives nearby who kind of keeps them safe. But every 10 years, I think it is, he comes and takes one of the girls from the town for his assistant, and they all kind of fear him even though he helps them, but he's also like not a good guy, I think. But basically this one is like a kind of typical fairy tale story, which I am so here for. If you know me at all, you know that I love fairy tales, so I think that I'm really going to like this one, and I've been trying to get to it for so long. And I did start it, I think in September. It was part of my TBR, but I didn't have a chance to get to it, and then my TBR for October was too full, so I didn't get to it then either. So I'm really hoping that I'll be able to get to it hopefully in December. I'm really hoping. And then we've got The Conjuring of Light by V.E. Schwab. This is the third and final book in the Shades of Magic trilogy. I've just finished book number 2, I think a couple days ago, at the time of filming at least, and I am dying to know what happens after that last line. Like, V.E. Schwab just left me hanging like that, and I'm so mad about it, but I don't have time to start the next book right now because I have way too many things on my TBR for November, and I can't do it, but I need it. I need to know what happens. So I'm really hoping that I can squeeze this one in, hopefully very, very soon. I would also love to get to The Girl in the Tower by Katherine Arden. This is book number 2 in the Winter Night trilogy. I read the first book last year, and these books are very much fairy tale-esque, and they are very wintry for me as well. So I would love to read this book while it's winter time, and I can just picture like a nice cold snowstorm and just picking this book up and devouring it like over the course of a couple of days. That sounds like absolute heaven, so I really hope that I can get to this one. But this series takes place a very long time ago in Russia. I forget the exact date, but it's like just on the cusp of Christianity being popularized. And it's a coming-of-age story that follows a girl named Vasilisa who comes from a very northern village in Russia where they still follow the old gods, and she is sighted, so she's able to actually see these gods and interact with them. She's basically their friend, and something happens in the first book that threatens their existence, so she helps them. I'm not too sure what the plot of this book is, but I just know that, you know, the world is fantastic. I love the characters, the writing is amazing, and I have been dying to get to this one, and wintertime is a perfect setting for these books. These next 3 are ones that I truly cannot believe that I haven't gotten to yet, because all 3 of them are by my favorite authors. So like, what is wrong with me? But the first one of those is Called on the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater. I still haven't read this. What is going on? So this book follows Ronan Lynch, who is a character from The Raven Cycle. He's my favorite character. This is his spin-off series that goes into, I think it's his backstory, and like, what's wrong with me? Again, like, why haven't I read this? I love Ronan so much, and yet Ah, why? Honestly, I'm just kind of scared to read this one because if it sucks, I'm going to be so sad. I don't think it'll suck because like Miss Stiefvater does not let me down, aside from Ballad and Lament, but we're just not going to talk about those two. But otherwise, she has not let me down for any of her more recent books, and I need to do it. I need to just suck it up and get over the fear that it might be terrible, because I know it's not going to be terrible and I need to read it. So I will definitely be doing that very, very shortly. And then we've got Bonds of Brass by Emily Skrutskie, which is one of my most anticipated reads of the year. Still haven't read it. This one is a male-male romance. It's a sci-fi. It follows two pilots. That's really all that I know about it. It's just like space pilots, man. Like it's a genre that I haven't read very much of, but I'm really here for it. And I'm so interested in all these sci-fi books that are just about a found family on a spaceship. I love that. And that's what this one is. But it also has a male-male romance, and it's Emily Skrutskie, who I adore. So I don't know why I haven't read this, but hopefully soon, hopefully soon. And last but certainly not least is The Storm of Life by Amy Rose Capetta. Still haven't read it. I started it. I got to chapter 2, which is page 20. So I did start it at one point, did not finish it for whatever reason. This is the sequel to The Storm of Life, which I adored. It's one of my favorite books of all time, and I don't know why I'm putting off the sequel, but the first book was perfection. It takes place in a Italian-inspired fantasy world where the main character is the daughter of like a mafia leader, and she's secretly a strega, so she has powers, and she uses those powers to kill her father's enemies and to keep their family safe. Then she meets another strega named Cello, whose name I'm probably mispronouncing, but just don't worry about it. And Cello is a gender non-conforming strega who changes shape and changes gender and like physically changes their body to be whatever gender they feel like at the time. And the two of them meet and they fall in love, and it's wonderful, and it's just non-binary goodness, okay? It makes me so happy, and I can't believe that I haven't read book 2 yet, but I need it. I need to read this. Why do I do this to myself? I don't know. But anyways, this one. So those are all the books that I am like desperate to get to. Realistically, I don't know how many of them I'll actually be able to get to, but I'm hoping to at least get to a couple of them. There's a few on here that I am planning on putting on my TBR for next month if Operation allows me to do so. I'm not sure which ones yet, but there will be at least a few from this list here. But regardless, I hope that I can get to all of these by the end of this year. If not, then like early next year. Too many books to read, not nearly enough time. Ugh. I just want to spend the rest of my life reading. That's all I want to do. Is that too much to ask? Yeah, I guess it is. But anyway, that'll do it for today's video. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're all having a fantastic day wherever you are in the world, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye!